Buckets. I'm RT Bear. I am your host. I am coming live from my little studio here called Hack Shack Studios. That's where the clever name Hacks Chats comes from. So with me is the great Von Klaus. Hey, Von, how are you?
I'm doing great, Art. Thanks for having me on, man.
Hey, no problem, man. I've been an admirer of the new book since you came out with it, and so we are going to talk a little bit about. Well, one, we're going to find out who Von Klaus is, and then we're going to find out a little bit about his new upcoming book, which is Monster MD. So, where do you want to start, man? Do you want to start with a little bit of backstory on yourself?
Yeah, let's not start in the womb. Let's go a little forward.
Wait. Let's go back further than the womb.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. My dad revealed what happened before I was in the womb, and my mom hit him many times in the arm. But and he was driving, but he revealed that I was conceived in a haunted San Francisco hotel.
Ooh,
that is a fact.
Wow.
So
I pushed the point.
Yeah, thank you for finding my inception, I guess, without even trying. So, and then I grew up in Norman, Oklahoma, next to a field full of rattlesnakes and tarantulas. I'm surprised I'm alive. So is my mom. And I grew up in the 80s when big, amazing things happened, and they had a profound impact on me and how I create stuff today. I was there for all the amazing new wave music and He-Man and Transformers and G.I. Joe and all this stuff that I loved. This great boom of not just toys, but I mean great art that came with the toys. He-Man came with, many comic books, and these had a huge impact on me. And not too long after that, Ninja Turtles blew up, and I went to my first comic book stores, and I picked up great comics that changed my life and set me on this path to where I am now. I went to and I've been creating comics since I was 8 years old because of Ninja Turtles. So I end up going to film school later in life. Columbia College, Chicago, graduate with directing and screenwriting, mostly, screenwriting, because that's what I really want to do, is write great stories. I was looking into becoming a college professor where I would teach people story, and try to pass that torch along to a new generation. I'm kind of afraid that this current generation is kind of losing the concept of what good stories are that actually touch us internally, and they're being told to like stories for external traits, and like whether it was diverse or whether there was an empowered woman and stuff. And that's kind of a cheap, hokey, kind of artificial way to like a story that doesn't really touch you as a human. So anyway, I wrote some movies, graduated film school. I did really well in film school. I worked very hard and became kind of a go-to guy for my professors to come to write their film scripts. And some of them had worked on some interesting movies in Hollywood or in animation, like Animaniacs and Tiny Toons and stuff. So I did really well. Thought I was going to get into film, but right when I got into film, immediately everything I was writing was getting changed. Nothing was working out the way I wanted it to. There were too many people, too many kind of factors involved, to where like making a film the way you want it, to me, is just a miracle, man, if you could pull that off. But with comics, I could tell the stories I wanted to tell, and I could do it my way. And no one was censoring me. No one's going to, question it. In fact, I hand it to my artists and they love it. They don't tell me I'm over the top or cheesy or melodramatic. The bigger, the better in comics. And that's just something I've always loved about them. And that's just very much my style.
Is that Marco? That's the guy you are working with on Monster MD, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Marco McCagney out of Italy, incredible artist, and totally understood Monster MD before I even really told him about it. I mean, he just clicked right away.
Well, very cool. I didn't want to derail you, but
no worries.
Is he the guy that you've been working with on other projects as well, or is he just on this one?
He's just on Monster MD. He's also doing the Heidi bonus story that we're adding to the back of every book. For every backer who buys a book, you get Heidi's origin story now, and he's working on that right now, and it's looking really choice.
Oh, cool.
When it comes to me getting here, basically, I stopped worrying about making movies, and I started working on comics, and I made a comic book to learn from called Kitaru Witch Hunter, and that's on Tapas right now for free if anyone's curious. And then I learned a lot from it. I inked it, I wrote it, I designed all the characters. I was really into it. I lettered it, and I even did a lot of the blood effects and some of the coloring. But I'm very like hands-on, a little control freaky with my visions because I want it to be my way, and that's part of why I got back into comics. Even though I've been drawing them since I was like 8.
Well, welcome to the club, man. I think control freak is probably the main prerequisite to do indie comics.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's where the best ones, that is how they happen. You got to have that very intense, very like sure of yourself vision,
Yeah, and if you want to share things and you want to compromise, then you work for other people, but not for yourself.
Exactly.
Yes,
and that's part of why I'm enjoying this so much. I'm ready to make something on my own, and that's Monster MD. And Monster MD has kind of an interesting story where years ago, back in 2014, I started work on this, and then I worked with a different artist than Marco for a while, and we almost finished the book, and then he kind of had we had a falling out, unfortunately. I don't know what his problem was, but he got really emotional and angry at me, and I thought we had a good working relationship, so it was very strange. But we went our separate ways. He didn't finish the last pages as kind of a screw you, I guess I could say. And I just kind of was like, maybe comics aren't for me either. You get that really defeated feeling, right? You feel like, man, like I put all this time and money and effort into making this book. Even though his art was nowhere near what Marco has put out for us. I worked very hard on doing the art with him to help him or to fix things and to just add to this world I wanted to create that I envisioned with Monster MD. In a way, it got me very primed and ready to make the book with Marco. So we end up failing on this book. I don't know what to do. I think about finishing it for a while and just putting it out as is. And it just wasn't up to my standards. It wasn't my vision. And so I made this big decision, which was easier to make because the Comicsgate stuff started happening and it started getting really exciting in the art world again. I wasn't ever going to share that I drew much stuff or did comics with people. I was just going to participate in maybe YouTube commentary or whatever. But I had this awesome vision. I wanted to make it happen. I dropped it. I asked Marco, who I knew was the perfect artist for it. And to my surprise, he said yes. And that's how we started finally making this newest, most badass version of Monster MD.
Yeah, he's really good. And your colorist is exceptional as well.
Tanya is a unique find. She's very mysterious. I don't know much about her, and I kind of like it that way. I think maybe she likes it that way. We're very business, and I think she's from Russia, but I could be wrong. She's my Russian agent, and she seems way too good a colorist for not doing I would always expect her to be booked, but she's always ready to color for me. So knock her door down, guys. Give her work. Tanya's amazing. Her name's Tanya Wicker. And I don't know how long she's been coloring or much of anything other than just she has an eye for it that's already amazing. But when you combine it with Marco, you get magic.
Where did you find her?
I think I found her on DeviantArt.
Really? Wow.
Which is surprising. Yeah.
DeviantArt. Yeah.
Well, that's what's funny is I wouldn't recommend you do nowadays, but back when I found her in 2014, yeah, that's where I looked, and she had colored something like some different demons and monsters, and they all had these cool shades that were kind of different than what you usually see in comic book colors. So I immediately fell for that.
Yeah, she does some nice texture work too. It's pretty amazing. It's a great looking package all the way around.
Yeah, that's what I'm so proud of, is that I was able to work with these awesome artists and put this team together and see that her colors, because she was the original colorist on the original version of Monster MD. So you take, I knew she was good. So I knew what her style was like. So I took her and then combined her with Marco, and Marco says that his work has never looked better. So good stuff.
Are you ever going to let the story before this one see the light of day with the mysterious guy that screwed you over?
I have given people hints, peeks at it. I definitely have. I almost made a post the other day comparing his page versus the Marco version of the same page, so you can see how different artists interpret a script and draw it, you know?
Yeah.
But it felt like it would be kind of jabbing at him in a little bit of a harsh way because Marco's just, you know, outshines him. But it is, I have shown some people the old school version. They told me it comes across, I mean, maybe I could show it now, but it comes across as much more indie and kind of, it looks almost like a woodcut, very thick cross hatching. It's got more of a somber, melancholy look to it instead of the fun energy we have now.
Yeah, that's the part I like the most, is just the over-the-top cartooning aspects of the story and all the artwork I've seen so far.
Yeah, which just goes so well with my script. I mean, it's hand in hand. My script is hard-hitting, big, exaggerated, hilarious, but I try to keep it grounded enough to where you can really relate to the characters and really want to see what happens next with them.
Were you working in film before comics, or what were you doing before comic books?
When it comes to actual jobs, I mean, I made films, but I was working. What was my last job before? I was managing a tea house. For a little while, I was a bouncer in Chicago. And then I managed a fine tea house and like totally went from like pounding dudes' faces to like serving old ladies tea. And
wait, you have to share us a bouncer story, your coolest bouncer story.
Okay. Yeah. There's all kinds of crazy bouncer stories.
The number one bouncer story.
Do I tell you about one of the fights, or do I tell you? Okay. When the music festivals come to Chicago, because we get some big ones in Chicago, they get Pitchfork. They get, I don't know if you know music festivals. They get, of course, there's Lollapalooza. So like it's like kind of a, you know, it's a big city and it's a big music festival center. And so I worked at a rock and roll club where we would have special shows where bands that were playing those festivals would show up and play too, man. Like you get some bigger acts than we usually would. And people who are doing the festival thing, you know, they come out to the clubs to see the bands too, who are like hardcore fans. So the clubs fill up. And one night they put me on like crowd surfing duty, where I was the jerk who had to like carefully pull crowd surfers down.
You need to stop that. Get down off the stage. You need to stop.
Yeah.
Like
and you're dressed like kind of a punk thug. Like you don't have like a uniform. So people are like, who is this ass who's like tearing down crowd surfers? But you're trying not to hurt them, but the crowd pushes against you. It's like the best workout of your life. Like this is what they should be showing on workout videos. Like just pull down the crowd surfer, but gently, you know, hold their body weight. Don't let them hit the floor, you know. Yeah. So and then I felt like I'd gotten the hell kicked out of me. All my muscles were pulled and torn and elbows were going into me. People were not happy that I was doing it. So some of them would be kind of nasty. But I'm pulling them down all night. Everybody clears out. And then I'm all beat up. So like, I feel like I don't want anyone to see me like hunching over in pain. So I kind of stumble backstage and I see the guys from the band Ghost BC without any of their masks on. And they were just dudes, but like they're supposedly, I don't know if you know about Ghost BC, but they're supposedly like very secretive about their appearance. And they're very, I don't know, that's probably all over the internet now. Back then, nobody knew what they looked like. Wait
a minute.
It was very mysterious.
Is this the band that just goes by Ghost now? Is that the same band?
Oh, do they go just by Ghost now? I didn't know.
Are they a huge act now? Is that the same band?
Ghost blew up. This is before they blew up huge.
Okay.
They still had a lot of fans in that club though who loved their metal, but I saw all of them and I got to meet them and it was just really cool. It was a cool little like happenstance.
Yeah, I saw them in a small club, and then I think last year because now they're an arena act. We saw them at the Coliseum in LA. So now they're full on Coliseum. So that's pretty cool. You got to see them before they really became huge.
Yeah, that was one of the magics of working at Double Door. You would we were kind of known since the 90s, or maybe even before, for hosting bands before they explode. You would see posters for Smashing Pumpkins and all these bands before they really hit it big, played through Double Door. So pretty cool spot. Sadly, it closed after I moved away.
So did you snap a picture of you with the nameless ghouls? Is that what they're the nameless ghouls, right? And then it's
nameless ghouls.
Papa something, right? That's the singer name.
Yeah. I did not. I just talked to them, and then I had to go and do my job and take out trash, I think.
Very glamorous. But the cool thing
glamorous
about working as the bouncer, you're right there on the edge of the stage, right? So you get the best view in the whole area there.
Yeah. I got some sweet pictures of them performing, of course. I got to be one of the Ramones', well, probably the last Ramone, one of the drummers. I got to be his bodyguard for the night and walk him to the stage and to his cab, because when he finishes the show, because he's an older dude, he just walks straight off stage and jumps into a cab and goes back to the hotel.
There's no meet and greet with that guy.
No hangouts, no beers, nothing. He's done. It's time to go get in a jacuzzi tub and take your pain meds or whatever. And then I got to guard Kate. Is it Kate Hudson, that singer? Is that it? No, that's an actress. That's like Goldie Hawn's daughter. I'm trying to think of this singer, but I was never into her, so I didn't really care. But everyone thought it was a really big deal that I was her bodyguard, and I got to walk Cypress Hill to the stage and got a little high doing so, because they were just smoking like there was no tomorrow. It was amazing. There was. Yeah, definitely, man. And just take a whiff and you're flying. And then, so I got, and then, you get into some fist fights. And was there any other crazy stuff? No. I'm sure it'll hit me later, but, and then I go from that to working at a tea house, and the tea house doesn't have much action. Kate Bush, no.
Yeah, that would have been too calm for that club, right?
Yeah.
She's pretty good, but she's in a complete opposite direction.
Yes, I would have remembered that. But yeah, I start serving tea. But while I'm serving tea and just sipping tea all day, I'm working on Monster MD, and I'm like fantasizing about this crazy world where this guy takes care of the monsters for once, and it's all these jokes start coming to me. It kind of, how writers sometimes say it wrote itself. This was my first time as a writer having something that felt like it wrote itself. So it was very fun and full of energies. And I think that's come out in our final product.
Yeah, I think that's also how it's going to relate, because I do believe if you feel it's writing itself, that's when it becomes relatable for a mass crowd or mass readership. At least that's how I feel. Whenever I've connected like that and felt like this stuff's writing itself, is when it resonated the best with the readers they're trying to entertain.
That's great. That's a good. That becomes like a rule of thumb then, or at least a good signifier of you're on the right track.
And at the very least, you're having a good time, right? You're cracking yourself up.
Yes, I just finished the script to Shinobi Sasquatch versus Monster MD, and I got to tell you, I was laughing the whole way through it. This is a very fun script. I think people are going to really like this.
Yeah, I saw this on your Indiegogo page, and you guys, if you haven't already backed, let me see if I can do this. If you haven't backed Monster MD, go do so. They are doing really, really good. It's a great product. But I did see that second book, the crossover book. How is that going to work? So this is going to be a complete graphic novel.
This is going to be
a 100-page book you already have.
This is going to be 20 pages. It's going to be, I think, black and white.
Okay.
Just basic, fun, hilarious story. And that's it. Like, we're keeping it like, and it is going to be insane that he and I are going to try to work out like who supported both campaigns and who didn't. I think I'm just gonna print off a copy for everyone and send them a free copy, no matter whether they back Shinobi or not. So maybe you'll get to, it's chaos is what it is. I'm gonna have to plow my head through it. I should have probably worked out logistics way better. It's like my fault, because I was all excited and pumped about my campaign, and Cal came to me and said, "Hey man, do you want to do a crossover?" And I was just like, "Yeah, why not?" Like, I felt invincible. I should have been a little bit smarter about it, but I don't care. I'm having a lot of fun, and I think this is going to turn into a really cool book once we get it finished. So yeah, man, I'm just going to print those suckers off and send them with your copy of Monster MD.
That's Marco as well, right? Doing the art.
We're in talks.
Oh, okay. Oh,
I'm thinking it will be Marco,
not Rob Willis.
Rob has important page work to do on Shinobi Sasquatch still. So I am adamant about shipping Shinobi Sasquatch versus Monster MD with my book. And so I'm not like, even though I could wait for Rob to finish Shinobi and then he could start with our book, I'm worried about time frames.
Right.
And so we're going to do that. But we're talking about working with Rob on other stuff later. So,
okay. Oh, you got to see this though. Okay, I'm going to cut to the camera. This is going to blow you away. Okay, here we go. This right here, I hope you can see it. It's a Shinobi Sasquatch page that Matthew Fowler sent to me. I think on Ethan's auction. I was just talking about, I think somebody said that Rob had sent Ethan some pages, just sent him pages. Yeah. So then, yeah, it's amazing. Matthew Fowler was nice enough to send me an actual Shinobi Sasquatch Rob Willis page. So I am very, very happy. Yeah.
That's gorgeous. Oh.
Yeah, eat your heart out.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
It's one of the perks. It's right. It's one of the perks of working in the biz.
Right, man. You guys are passing those pages around.
Yeah. It's like seeing ghosts without their makeup or without their masks.
Yeah, it really is. You're backstage with Ghost.
Yeah, it's a perk. Yeah. Well, I was just wondering how that's going to work out, because I do. I have an upcoming project as well. It's called Chrono Mechanics. And I have a pre-launch page for that right now. And I have an idea for a short story. Mm-hmm. And I was just wondering how you go about introducing those short stories. So did you number crunch and you figured out, based on X amount of more sales on the Indiegogo, that you could do a 20-page story? Is that kind of how you worked it out?
Yeah. When I worked it out in terms of also splitting it with Cal.
Okay.
So, I mean, yeah, it was feasible, even if it does take a chunk and it is a lot more work. Giving myself that much more work is kind of not something I want to do in the future, but I had fun doing it still. So that's what's been fun. I think it's going to be a really great book. So,
but I just mean like number crunching, like figuring out how much it's going to cost you to print, X amount of books, 20 pages, how much it's going to cost to, your artists and so on and so on.
Exactly. Yeah. Definitely crunched all of that. Like, what would it cost to make this book, and how much does that take down what I project my profit will be?
Right. So the cool thing is you have pretty much 3 separate books that you're offering, right? You have the main book, which is 100 pages, I believe. You have the sketch book, and then you have the 20-page crossover book.
Right.
Wow. That's a lot, man.
And the main book is 114 pages. I just did Heidi's backstory and finished that script. Awesome script too. I'm really proud of it. It's another 14 pages. So you're kind of getting You're almost getting another little issue stuck in there in the back. So you get a 128-page book. So yeah, this is a big, juicy purchase. You get a lot for your money.
Wait a minute. So there's the 100-page main story, and then there's a 14-page backup story in that same issue with the Heidi.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! Now I know why you're cleaning up, man. That's a lot of stuff. Yeah.
As my first campaign, I approached it with this kind of yes man attitude, and I was trying to make everyone really happy, and trying to like, I want to win people over so that for future campaigns too, to have loyal customers that really like what I put out, so I feel like I'm giving them a lot.
Yeah, you always have to. You have to give it away each and every time. I used to be in a band, so no matter how you feel, you have to go there and just give every ounce of energy you have away for that 2 hours or hour and a half or whatever it is. So comics are the same way. So it's not quite, you don't have that 2 hours. It's more of a marathon. But every time you wake up, sit at the drawing board or at the computer, you got to have that same mindset. You're just going to give everything away no matter what.
Yes, it's so true. And you got to do it for 2 months. So get ready, people. and then after that, you got to do a store. So get ready, people. It's crazy. Campaigns are crazy. I'm helping a lot of people out with their campaigns. And watching them go on the same roller coaster ride I did, it's amazing. It's quite a thing. When do you launch, or did you have a date?
I got the pre-launch page now. So signups, if you guys haven't, please do so. It's probably going to be at the end of this month, September, early October, when we go live with it. I want to at least get 300, pre-signs for the campaign. I was talking to Kyle Ritter. He had 5. So I don't think I can wait that long as far as pre-signs. But what I'm hoping is the sooner I can get that 300, the sooner I can go live with the campaign.
Yeah, that's what I did. I wanted to have 300 signed up before I launched.
How many did you have?
298.
Ooh, there you go. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
it helped out that first week, right? I mean, because you really with the first 2 days, you need to get those numbers up pretty quickly. It's kind of like a movie, the opening weekend makes or breaks, the box office. So these Indiegogos are the same way. If you do well, the first couple 2 or 3 days, then you pretty much are going to have. It's still going to be a hard-fought campaign, but it makes it a little bit easier. Yeah.
Yes, no doubt.
Yeah,
no doubt. Definitely do the mailing list thing, people. Definitely. Well, great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to your campaign. This is gonna be fun.
Oh, thank you. Where's my book, Fart T-Bear? I don't know, John. No, actually, Black and White is at the printers now. I signed the contracts. Everything's a go. So they say, what did they say? It's like 2.5 months because it's going to China. So between printing and then shipping and customs, it's about 2.5 months. So we're talking about fulfillment in November. I wish it could be sooner, you guys, but this stuff's out of my hands at this point. Chrono is going to be it's going to be a lot faster because I figured out a lot of shortcuts and I will not make the same mistakes. That's another thing about, is this your first campaign, Vaughn?
It sure is.
Yeah. So there's a series of missteps that you'll take along the way. But the good thing about this crowd is, at least what I've seen, they're very, very forgiving and they're very supportive. So that's good.
Yeah, good for us. Thanks, guys. Don't kill us, please. Oh man, I love this crowd. If without this group of fans and these awesome YouTubers, and I don't think we would have had this little mini renaissance happening in indie comics, and it certainly wouldn't have inspired me to get off my butt and take the risk of redoing all of Monster MD, with a new team. It was crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of expense and a lot of time committed. to that. And the thing is, it really is kind of like you're going to Vegas, right? You're playing the craps table. You put all this time in, you put this money in, and usually it's upfront money out of your pocket to pay the talent. And then you're just kind of hoping that the sales will be there to at least break even, if not do better. And the great thing about this crowd, these platforms, Comicsgate, is that we're not just breaking even, we're excelling. You know what I mean? Like, these books are doing really, really well. And I hearken it back to the Image days, because I was there, when all that stuff was formed. And it really does feel like that. It feels like, like the Wild West, like anything's possible. And we're just blazing this brand new trail. I don't know how long it will last. Hopefully, we'll get a decade out of it like Image did. But it definitely feels that way to me. It's very exciting, and it's rewarding to know that you could put out a labor of love, a book that you've devoted quite a bit of time and energy to, and that there is a fan base, a readership that will support that. And man, there is no better feeling. I've worked for Marvel and DC for 35 years, and I'll tell you, when those numbers go up on Black and White, and we did as well as we did, that's better than any of that other stuff. Because it's all you. Yeah, it's your voice, it's your art.
Hell yeah, that's great. Yeah. Congratulations. It feels like we're kind of like a fresh new form of punk rock that's scaring the hell out of the mainstream, and I love that too. I've always been a little punk like that.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, it is sending ripples through the industry. I went to San Diego Comic-Con for one day, and I'll tell you, everybody that knew me, all the old school artists, even, a lot of the newer guys were like, how did you do it? How did you do it? Black and White was such a success. How did you do it? And they all want to know. And a lot of these conversations, Vaughn, they weren't like 10-minute conversations. These were epic, like hour and a half conversations, because they wanted to know everything. So the industry, the mainstream industry, is looking very, very closely at all of this stuff. So, I wanted to ask you, are you in the shop now, or are you still live?
We're in the shop. We in demand.
In demand.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Von Klaus is killer, is all killer, no filler.
That's right.
Hell yeah.
That's right. We don't do filler, I'm here to kill. I've been waiting for this moment all my life.
Yeah, that sounds like a lyric of a song.
Phil Collins.
I've been waiting for this moment all my life.
For all my life.
Yeah, get those drums
drum solo.
Yeah, exactly. And then
I can feel it.
And then it will turn into a beer commercial.
That's right. And then like a Hyundai will drive by.
Yeah. And then you'll make more off that commercial than you did off the song.
That's right.
That's where I want to be.
That's where we got to be, Art. That's where we got to go. I want to the top of Commercial Mountain.
Yeah, I want to completely sell out and be rich.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say no if they wanted to make a TV version of Monster MD. I'd be like, hell yeah, like let's make it happen.
Yeah. So is this kind of
I'm gonna lie and say Heidi's black, huh?
Yeah, you got to get you got to play the diversity card, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be like, it's very diverse, very diverse. Who's black? Heidi.
Yeah.
Dude. Actually, they would be able to flip to the back of Monster MD and see her backstory and see what she looked like before she turns invisible. So.
And then just say she's mixed race and the colorist screwed up.
I will. Yeah. She's not supposed to be blonde.
Why is she blonde? Oh, my colorist.
My colorist. Notes. She's Russian. You know how those Russians are, getting Trump into office and everything.
Everybody in Russia is blonde.
Yes. That's all they know. That's all they know.
Yeah. I'm showing my ignorance right now. I don't know.
Yeah, we really don't know.
They're probably all blonde. I think that's Scandinavia.
Or it's just the wives you mail order. I don't know.
Yeah. And that blonde might be out of a bottle.
But yeah, I would sell out. But would I necessarily work for Marvel if they said they had a book for me? I'd probably say no and want to work on my stuff and make way more money and make what I want to make.
Exactly. And at this point, there's no reason to think you can't, because you've already succeeded, beyond most first-time indie publishers. So you're doing exceptionally well. So there's no reason that you should do that unless they're going to pay you $1 bazillion and give you the red carpet treatment. But is Monster MD, is it an all ages book, or is it kind of have
nasty?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I mean, I think it's rated R, man.
Oh, cool.
I think there's enough cuss words and enough blood and enough like a little bit of nudity, but very light. I don't think you actually see a nipple because it's a monster and her boobs have giant sharp fanged mouths on them covering where the nipples. But that you do see that. I think her crotch area is also a snapping mouth, to be honest. So, I mean, it's nude, but it's like, it's teeth, man. It's horror. I don't know what to say. Anyway, there's a hint of there's a butt that I think you see in it. It's not that big a deal in terms of nudity, or it's not super sexual or anything, but there is a lot of horror movie gore.
Okay. Yeah, I saw a lot of blood in the Indiegogo pages that you put up.
Yeah, it gets bloodier.
It gets bloodier.
Yeah, you got to get bloodier as the story goes.
Yeah,
build it up. So I mean, yeah, but he gets his arm cut off, and you see his arm go flying, and blood just trail behind like a red streamer. It's crazy. It's and then there's beheadings. There's some beheadings.
Yeah. So if Disney came to you and said, we want to make this a kid-friendly cartoon, there's no way that could happen.
Well. Yeah, I mean, it could happen. Here's the funny thing about Monster MD as a concept. It was, how do I put this? It was more of a Pixar film idea when I first conceived it. And I put it in a folder and I let it sit there for years. It's what writers do. You have, and if you keep getting haunted by the idea for a while, and it passes that test, then take another look at it. Maybe you should work with this idea, because whatever idea you choose, you're going to have to be married to it for a long time. This idea I always liked, but I liked it more when I ended up having a nightmare and seeing this doctor tying a werewolf down to a table, and it's snapping at him, trying to bite him, and it's all horrific. And that's when I realized I need to take what was originally more of a cute Disney-like idea, where it's just, every monster is played by a famous actor and voiced by them. And every, the monster doctor, it's very funny, and they learn a heartwarming lesson at the end. I took it and I made it more what I like. It made it so it still has that commercial flavor, but it has, that 80s and horror movie flavor that I like too.
And also it's drawn in a very cartoony kind of style.
Right.
So it's kind of you're juxtaposing intense violence with a pretty kind of cartoon kid friendly look. So I like that. It's you don't
crazy.
get to see that every day.
But if they said, we'll make your show, but we're gonna take out the blood and all the cuss words, I'm like, if we can still keep the attitudes and the characters and keep it kind of actiony and fun, but even though it's still more kid friendly, I would be fine with that.
Yeah,
I would try to find that happy middle ground.
Well, it has that kind of adaptability where the core idea is strong enough that it could fit, like an R-rated, even it could be an R-rated, kid type drawn cartoon. It could be an R, live action, or it could be, a kid-friendly live action or cartoon as well. So it has quite a bit of adaptability there, and that's good, because I think that's also your concept's fairly strong. Chrono is the same way. So I kind of feel where you're coming from, because when I first did Chrono, I was thinking it's kind of drawn very cartoony. And I was doing animation. I was designing, shows and doing pitches and stuff with the different Kids WB, Warner Brothers, and Disney, and what was it, Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon. And so I had that sensibility there. So I was as I was, developing it, I was thinking, no, it has to be more kid friendly because that's where my connections are right now. And then I finally just went, no, what do you want to do? You know what I mean?
There you go.
Where do you want to be with it? What do you want to read? And so it became a little bit edgier in ways that was entertaining to me. So the way I pitch Chrono is it's H.G. Wells meets Looney Tunes. And the reason I say Looney Tunes is not just because it's over the top and it's silly, which it is, but it's also like Looney Tunes has a lot of innuendo that kids do not get. It's not till you're older and you watch, some of those Looney Tunes cartoons and realize, man, that's highly sexualized, that gun that goes limp and then just spits out the little water bullet, and when eyes pop out of, the wolf and stuff like that, when he's looking at Little Red Riding Hood. And, there's some underlying sexuality and more adult themes going there. And so that's kind of the way I brought that stuff. I was thinking along those lines when, I came up with Chrono, or reworked it more to, like you said, what we want, what our sensibilities are. So I totally know where you're coming from, but it could be adapted very easily to a more kid-friendly idea, or even to a more edgy, concept as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's how you know your idea has legs usually, when it's adaptable like that and strong and broad enough to stand on its own, regardless of where what you do with it. Yeah, it's very cool.
That's how I feel anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. That's part of what I want to do with everything I make. I want it to have that broad mass appeal, that fun. Because to me, we become chefs, man. We become these chefs who are trying to put out the most flavorful but like appealing dish without being too fancy and snooty about it. We're trying to make something everyone can just enjoy here. I'm always trying to add the right ingredients.
Right. And at the same time, entertain yourself or have fun doing it. Otherwise we could work, 9-to-5 day jobs, doing things that we don't love,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I got my 9-to-5, but it's not me being miserable in a grind. Thank God. I'm actually very creative there too, and tell a lot of stories there as well. And I'm making films. So it's kind of good practice for me to do that, even though sometimes you're a little exhausted and then you have to come home and immediately start working on other stories. But I actually, right now, I'm on fire, man. I'm on a roll. So I'm looking forward to it. So I come home from work and I am like on stories. Like I've got secret little projects going with a lot of different creators and scripts blooming. And it's just, I'm having a blast, man. I feel like I'm at the top of my game in terms of writing. I just hope to keep riding this wave.
You will. With the success you have right now and the ambition level you have and the fan base, I can't see it slowing down for you. I mean, to be honest, I'm a little jealous of your career right now because your numbers are like astronomical, and I just feel like, man, I had to work 35 years to get to this point, man. You're stepping right in.
Yeah, well, well, let me tell you something I haven't told a lot of other people on streams is that, like, what you're saying is true. From one side of things, I worked so hard to get here, and everything I've worked on over the years has been an utter failure. So while you were, you were getting paid at least to draw and working with Marvel and DC, I was falling flat on my face in the street and being a bouncer in the snows of Chicago, and and everything I wrote, everything I drew, every comic I made, no one cared. Every movie I made, and then I took on a lot of different art jobs over the years. I did graphic design. I did a lot. And you know what? I did poster design. I did a lot of album covers. I did a lot of stuff, and all of it got me ready to do Monster MD. So it's not like I just made this out of the blue, rolled the dice and lucked out. Like everything, I failed so much I couldn't even tell you to get here. And thought about quitting art a million times. And like I said, the first version of Monster MD made me want to not ever mess with comics again because you're so I don't know, disillusioned, or maybe you're just so like exhausted and just kind of deflated after all that stuff I went through with that artist and him kind of screwed me over.
Your expectations are very high. So your emotions and what you expect are very high. So when they're not met, they can be rather disappointing. I had no idea that you had multiple creator-owned books out and things like that. So that's very cool, man.
Thanks. And also, if it makes you any better, I mean, I own books with your art and everything, and I've always thought it was amazing and looked up to you. Now I finally get to really talk to you, which is awesome. So I mean, like, it's like it took us both like different times, but in different types of work to get to where we are. But I mean, I don't know, man. You've always been up there as far as I'm concerned.
Well, thanks. I felt like I was at a lot of times failing in public. So as long as everybody thinks it was a success, that's cool.
Yeah.
because you're learning as you go along. And I don't think I had the skill set, to step into the positions I had. So what is the saying? You fake it till you make it. So I did a lot of faking for a lot of years.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're learning all the time, and failing is how we get better. I didn't just do this campaign out of the blue or whatever. Like it. I mean, if you think about it, I had a practice run with the first version of Monster MD. Now I'm all terrified that my sophomore book might kind of not do as well, because like, dude, the first one I had a practice run.
What do they call it in music? The sophomore curse. So it's always the follow-up.
Sophomore slump.
Yeah, because they also say like you've had a lifetime to make the first album, and then the second album you had like a year. So
exactly.
Yeah. So the next album, Vaughn, you have like 6 months.
Oh, dude.
Get on it, man. Start now.
Well, I mean, I wrote the Heidi story. I wrote Shinobi Sasquatch versus Monster MD. I started work on a new book with James McVan, who's an amazing artist, called God Gun, and everyone seems to be responding really well to that. So I hope to be on the right track, man.
Wait. How did it feel to write somebody else's character? Because you actually wrote Shinobi Sasquatch, and you also did a Graveyard Shift story, right?
Yes.
So how did that feel using, like writing other people's characters?
It felt really good. I felt like I was going to do them justice because when I write someone else, when I write any character, but when I'm writing someone else's, especially, I'm focused on doing something with them that doesn't break the character and change them from their fundamentals, but giving them like a little extra layer of something that you haven't seen before that you can enjoy as a reader.
Yeah.
Nothing intense, but it was fun to write Shinobi Sasquatch because when I read Cal's script for his book, so I get a handle on his world and his characters, it was like he was a very well-spoken Sasquatch. He was very articulate and very polite. And I was like, what? Okay. That's kind of cool. That was kind of cool. But I mean, I immediately understood what Cal was going for. So, and when it came to writing for John Malin and Mark Polton, who were incredible to work with and get to write in their world for Graveyard Shift, I lucked out in that, even though I was kind of jealous because I wanted to write the main characters, Professor Blood and the Bride and Mick Mayhew. I love that name, Mick Mayhew. These are cool characters. I didn't get to write them. I get to write a 1980s horror movie slasher guy who doesn't talk. So that was easy. Like I wrote, the challenge of it was they told me to write like a classic slasher and set it in a camp. I think they said to set it in a camp. And I was like, dude, I don't want to do a basic camp slasher. I want to do something more interesting. So I had it based around a camp that had been evacuated many years ago and had fallen into ruin and disrepair, so that because someone had gone crazy and killed some campers years ago, and some bank robbers. I think John's cool with me saying this, just the plot, the basic premise, but some bank robbers are using it as a hideout for the night after a big heist. And it's hysterical because they get out of their car with their guns, and they all have rubber horror movie monster masks on. So it's kind of a throwback to the fact that Graveyard Shift is a bunch of classic monster movie monsters, you know, and they pull their masks. They pull their masks off, and they're just a bunch of jerk bank robbers. And at the same time, there's this cabin where this mad scientist thinks he's all alone, hiding out there, and he is bringing this mad serial killer named Killer 99 back to life. And so, as you can see, we have the combination for mass destruction and utter chaos here. So,
who was the penciler on that?
Todd Mulrooney was I believe, the penciler and inker. I think he inks his own stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing a live stream, I believe, with Todd this Friday.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
A good guy. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, man. He helped bring this slasher to life, so it's been fun.
So it was a lakeside, right? There has to be a lake involved.
Of course. No doubt.
An epic battle in shallow water.
I mean, there's an epic attempt to get away in a motorboat from him.
Okay.
But it doesn't work out so hot.
As a kid, I always loved the graphic of the underwater photography when somebody would get cut, you know, and there'd be blood coming out of it, and it would just like kind of slow-mo, like zero gravity come out of the wound. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool.
Gotta put
Floats
that
up to the surface, and then you see a little blood pool on top of the lake water. Yeah.
Yep. Always the little blood pool.
It's a good graphic, man. It's a good graphic. Do you want to keep going, or do you want to wrap it up because we're about an hour into this?
Totally up to you, man. I'm enjoying myself. You know, I like talking to you. Whatever you want to do, it's your show, buddy.
No, the same. Yeah. So then, what is going to follow Monster MD? Is there going to be another Monster MD Volume 2, or is it going to be a completely different concept?
Well, let me just say, Monster MD Volume 2 is going to happen. I've talked to my artists. We want to make it. We want to make it badass. There's another thing in the works. Like I mentioned, God Gun with James McVan, and James and I are talking about making a few one-shots together and releasing them as a book of 3 badass stories by me with badass art by him, and possibly colors by Tanya Wicker again, or maybe him. We'll see. We're still thinking about colors, but yeah, I was thinking about releasing 3 just awesome stories in one. I know anthologies are a little dangerous and maybe don't do as well, but I'm kind of confident in my work lately, and confident in my fans, confident in my ability to create awesome mass appeal things. And so we were thinking, this is not 100%, about a book called Triple Threat that will showcase 3 of my more badass one-shot stories, and just kind of showcase what I can do and what James can do, because James is kind of new to drawing comics, but he's been an illustrator for many years, so he's rearing to go.
Would that be an anthology? An anthology type story?
It would be. Yeah.
I love anthologies. I've always loved the idea. The only problem, and I think the reason anthologies in the past have failed, is because most publishers will spend a bunch of money on the lead story, and then the other stories, they could be cool, but the artwork is usually pretty bad. So if you have like 3 stories that are just as good, you know, like they're all lead, you know, stories, and you spend the money, you get good talent on them, I can't see any reason why an anthology wouldn't work. And if you can get that to work, Vaughn, I am definitely going to follow it up, because I love that what is it, the format of an anthology. I really do. Yeah, it frees you up story wise, so you can just tell kind of like Twilight Zone little episodes. You can get in and get out of these stories in like 10, 15 pages or whatever it is. So yeah, I really like that format a lot. So yeah, that'll be something to look forward to.
Cool, man. Thank you for that. Yeah, I've seen so many anthologies do poorly recently, but then again, they didn't have the top of the line art necessarily. And there are other anthologies that I have seen do well. And they some of the ones that fail, they also have so many artists and people on them that it's kind of like becomes a haze almost. It's crazy. So I don't know. I'm skittish about it, but yeah, man, I feel like if I do it right and promote it right and do the right stories and just get people really excited for this, they could get to read 3 more of my original badass stories. I mean, I've been holding on to too many stories for too long, and now it's time to unleash.
Yeah. You've been dormant for too long. Yeah. And now you have the success, so you can just go to town. Well, very good. And everybody in the chat, if you could like the page and please hit the bell. I got to put my business hat on for a minute. It really helps the algorithms. And if you know anybody out there that likes this kind of subject matter, they like people, talking about comic books, giving you inside, comic book stories. I draw. There's a lot of people that are in Comicsgate that draw. They show their behind the scenes, process and things like that. So if you know people that like that, please turn them on to, these YouTube channels, because it does help. And these platforms do help us, expose new talent like Vaughn, Klaus, and different people like that. And it just keeps building, and we'll build this, we'll keep building this thing until it just, explodes this giant
That's right.
of success. Yeah.
We built this city.
We
built this city on exactly. I think that's the great attitude to have. Too many people seem to have forgotten that and don't seem to have that attitude. And I hope we can just keep positive and be good to each other and support each other and make awesome books, man. I mean, this is an exciting time. I mean, even Todd McFarlane recently said, this is the time to get into indie comics, guys, which made me feel a lot better. I thought I was just doing what I always do in life, which is just march directly into the fire every time. Like whatever, no, it's a great time to create. The artists are friendly. They're out there. They're approachable. We're all helping each other do successful campaigns and books. It's a blast.
And it's success by we're not twisting each other's arms. We're actually, we realize that as a group, as a whole, we're better off. So like I can only do so much on my own, but if I can, go on to John Malin's channel or Ethan's channel or whoever's, they have bigger numbers. So then I can get more exposure that way. And then I can bring people up as well. With my little channel and so on and so on. And if we keep doing this, we're going to keep the excitement level up. And this is advertising that you can't pay enough money for. You know what I mean? This stuff that we're talking about right now, this is like inside baseball stuff. This isn't just like somebody hammering you with an ad, like buy Chrono Mechanics or, buy Monster MD. This goes beyond that, man. We're talking inside, stories. We're sharing parts about our personality, who we are. This goes way beyond it. So, man, I always think this way. I don't know if you're like this as well, Vaughn, but, I think, man, when I was maybe 17, 18, when I started taking artwork a little bit more seriously and started thinking that maybe this would be something I want to do, if I had access to this as, a 17, 18-year-old trying to break into this industry, oh my gosh, I would have lost my mind, because I was thinking, who would be the contemporaries? Who would be the people that would have been doing these things? It would have still been like Neil Adams and, even Jack Kirby when I was younger was still putting out books. Those guys are the ones that would be doing these YouTube platforms right now, So if you think about it historically, who knows? Maybe this will be a template people look back on and go, wow, that is, it was a major boom in the industry. And those guys did have a vision, and they were helping this industry succeed, transform into, the 21st century and figure out a new way of marketing and selling, comic books.
Yeah, man, it's an amazing time, and we have to learn to be more than just good artists. We have to become good businessmen, and we have to connect with our crowd in a personal way. And so, yeah, it's fun, it's exciting. It's never been really done before in this type of way, so it's amazing to be doing that. I love that we're not just sitting around being bitter and spiteful. We're creating. That's such a better way to do things, man. It's creating,
great. And we're creating and sharing because we want to. This isn't the company that we all have stock in. This is why Ethan's overview of this is pretty good, because we're all cooperating by design. Like, I don't have to help anybody. I could just keep it all to myself and do that. But I realize that if I do it, then somebody else will do it for me, and so on and so on and so on. And by doing that, this is we're advertising in a way that we never could afford this kind of promotion, on our own. We never, like Facebook ads or whatever. And I've done that, and that's it's okay, but this is way, way more effective and way better. So I am very, very glad that I took a chance, and I know that you feel like you took a big chance as well to be part of this. I quit DC Comics. I was on Super Sun, so I was on a top-selling book when I left. Yeah, to do awesome this. Book. Yeah, and I have a very supportive family and wife, so I couldn't have done it without their support.
Of course, or their permission. Was that the word we're looking for?
Yeah, I guess that's the word exactly. Yeah,
that's hilarious. Well, man, I'm glad you did, because I'm a big admirer of your art, and it's to get to see you when you look at art you like. You do want to know what the artist's original stuff would be like, So I'm glad the fans seem to be responding well too.
Yeah, so far so good. So yes, I am going to come out with Black and White Volume 2, but I want to make sure it's in a place where once I go live, that we can get the book out in a more timely fashion, and then Chrono is going to allow me the time to do that. So Chrono is going to come out the end of September, early October, and if you guys don't know, this is Von Klaus that we have here that we're chatting with, and he has a Indiegogo called Monster MD, and is doing very, very well. It's in the shop right now, in demand. Go check it out. Back the book. We haven't even talked about the sketchbook. You want to talk about the sketchbook a little bit?
I'm putting it together from all the work that Marco and I have done, and all the work I've done. I did character designs for this. I'm, like I said, control freak, very hands-on, maybe a little too hands-on, because I'm designing every character. I'm overseeing everything to make it as much my vision as possible. So you'll see some stuff that I've drawn and sketched. You'll see the first ever sketch of Wyatt's zombie arm that I conceptualized in a notebook really quickly with just a pen at work. Just fun behind the scenes stuff like that. You'll see a picture of Ghost BC without their masks on. You'll see a lot of cool stuff. But no, I think it might end up being about 60 pages. And wow. You'll get to see, you'll get to get a lot of notes from me. I don't know the final page count yet, but yeah, you'll get a lot of notes from me on everything. You'll see Monster MD scripts. You'll see just a lot of cool things, maybe some inside jokes, some fun things. You'll see things that got cut on the cutting room floor that don't worry, I didn't cut anything that Marco drew. I made him draw the real deal Monster MD. But because we redid the book, there was a lot of opportunity for me to add cool new scenes from Marco to draw, and to change other scenes that didn't land as well as I wanted to. And I needed it to hit harder, because I came at this new draft with this newfound, desire to make my comic books bigger, more fun, more intense. So yeah, I definitely rewrote it. So there's some monsters that didn't make the cut when it comes to some of the cameos from the original version of Monster MD. So yeah, man, you'll see a lot. It's gonna be fun.
What kind of format is it going to be printed in?
I was just thinking it's going to be full color, and it's going to be the same type of square bound book that you get with Monster MD. I want them to feel like nice and similar.
Wow, so it's going to have a heavy stock cover with a square bound spine. Wow, that is.
I want high quality. I want people to really like it.
Well, that's very, very cool. Do you have a parting shot? Do you want to leave everybody with something? A pro?
Yeah, I always leave you with something. Let's see. I guess, you know what, to me, as I get older and as I work on stuff and as I finally start to succeed after, like I said, a lifetime of failure, you're learning from that failure. You're getting stronger. You're getting better. But I'm starting to realize that I always loved making comics, yet there was this weird part of me that avoided making comics because I thought they were unfeasible or whatever, which is just, and now look at what I'm doing. But I would draw them in college instead of working on my college work when I was supposed to be studying forensic pathology in school. I would draw them when I would move. They would be one of the things that would bring me comfort to do. Like if I moved to a new place and everything's kind of crazy and new, I'd be drawing comics, feeling inspired. I don't know why I denied myself of that. So I'm beginning to realize one of the tricks to life is, I guess this is kind of cliche, but I mean, finding that thing that gives you that spark and then work really hard till you're really good at it too. And you could find a way to use it to make some money and to make a life for yourself that brings you more joy, you know? Don't deny yourself what you like, or because it seems silly or unfeasible. Like figure out a way to make it feasible and make it something, you know, I guess. Yeah. Don't do that. Don't ignore it. Embrace
No. I know exactly what you're talking about because I think you're realizing it early on than myself. And it just feels like something that it's burning inside. Like I can't not do this. You know what I mean? Like these stories have been in me forever. Like Black and White is 25 years ago. These stories never went away. You know, so even though I've been working at Marvel and DC and having a ball doing that, but these stories are always there. So every night I was still writing stories, drawings. You know, I have my 9 to 5 where I would give, you know, Marvel or DC, you know, from I guess from like 9 to 6, you know, and then after that come home, eat with the family, settle in and draw until I couldn't draw anymore, you know, and write until I couldn't write anymore. And so yeah, those things never go away. And I just felt like it wasn't even like it was a conscious decision. It's just I couldn't not do it. And so just recently, I actually had the same, you know, conscious decision as what you just articulated here is, yeah, you just have to do it. Why not? You know, get it out there, put it out there, fulfill yourself. And the best thing about this is that there's a platform right now that will support it. And that's the biggest difference. And I think that's why I'm indulging in it at this point, is because I guess it doesn't feel like an indulgence. It actually feels like it can succeed, you know, and that's a big thing when you have to, you know, pay a mortgage and support your family and all that other stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Dang. Yeah.
I just have the mortgage.
I
don't got the fam unless you count my cat Jasper, who's like having a kid.
Yeah.
Demanding feline.
Yeah. They always want some attention, don't they?
Well, yeah, this one, does. He's very sociable, which I like, actually. I like that he's always chilling while I'm writing. He's always nearby hanging out. He's a good guy. Well, then, thank you so much for having me. This has been amazing.
Oh, no problem. Definitely no problem. And I'd like to do this again and continue success with the book. And go check out Monster MD. It's in the shop right now, in demand. So back the book. And thank you so much, Von Klaus, for your time and your insight in the comics. So very good.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care, guys. See ya.
See you.